Joining us now is the top person when it comes to the education system in our country, Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona. Secretary, welcome back, and thank you for being here. It's a very busy day for you.
Happy to be with you.
First off, today is obviously a big day for the 45 million Americans with federal student loan debt. Finally, some relief when it comes to student loans, right? But tell us why and how the government decided on $10,000 to $20,000 of relief and a salary cap.
Sure. Well, look, the goal of this is to make sure that Americans are not worse off than they were before the pandemic. And we know that 90% of the money going here is going to go to people making less than $75,000. So that's significant. We know middle-class Americans, those who are struggling financially, are having a hard time paying loans. And we know that we want to avoid defaults when loans restart in January. And we think $10,000 in loan forgiveness for anyone making under $125,000 is the right thing to do. And if you're a Pell recipient, meaning you qualify because of your low income, you're eligible for $20,000.
Absolutely. This is great news for so many Americans. The lump sum is great, but is this a one and done kind of solution? What about the reduction of interest rates?
Right.
Would that be more of a long-term option to provide everyone?
I'm glad you mentioned that because, loan forgiveness, the $20,000 in loan forgiveness is getting a lot of attention, and it should. No other president has done anything close. But I'm just as proud of the work that we're doing to improve income-driven repayment, which means we're not going to ask folks to pay more than they can afford. So we went from requiring folks for their undergrad degree to pay 10% of their income, their disposable income, down to 5%. That means half of their payments are going to have to be made now. And lastly, we're going to continue to fight to double Pell. We know that Pell helps level the playing field and gives access to more people from lower income communities to have access to higher education.
Secretary, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you said about 90% of Americans would benefit from this. Why not make this for everyone so that everyone could benefit from this as opposed to having a salary cap?
Sure. 90% of the money will be directed toward people making under $75,000. That's significant. What that does is level the playing field to those who are most impacted by the pandemic. This is targeted relief to make sure that folks are not worse off after the pandemic than they were before. The income-driven repayment and the public service loan forgiveness is for everyone. So we want to make sure that everyone takes advantage of that by visiting studentaid.gov and learning more about it.
What's your message to those who didn't attend college because it was too expensive or did manage to pay off their debt and now feel they are, quote, footing the bill for others?
Well, look, this is very consistent with what we did during the pandemic to other groups, right? Small business owners needed a little bit of support, and we provided that to keep them open and keep them in business. And we're investing in Americans right now. So to those who've paid for it, we're targeting those who are struggling right now to help get them on their feet. And that helps everyone, because when you have less people defaulting on loans, that helps everyone's economy.
And Secretary, you're the first Latino in your position. Felicidades. According to the Student Borrower Protection Center, about 90% of Black Americans and 72% of Latinos take loans to attend college, compared to 66% of white students. Now, regardless of race and ethnicity, higher education has more than half of our youth in debt.
Right.
How are we making this a better system?
Right, and really, this is not partisan, right? We want to help Americans. On the long-term policies that we're working on, public service loan forgiveness, income-driven repayment, we're making sure that it's affordable. So some of these first-generation college students or families that have modest means, they too have access to the American dream through higher education.
Let's talk about what's next. While the move has been celebrated by the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and by We the 45 Million, which is a student loan activist organization, their wording has been very specific. They said this is a great first step, but what's next? Will there be more? What strides are we making?
Look, keep tabs on what we're doing. This announcement today wasn't the first one. We've forgiven over $32 billion in loans. From day one since this president took office. That's more than any other administration combined, right? We're fixing a broken system. Public service loan forgiveness. There was a 98% denial rate. We got that number up. We've forgiven over $10 billion just in public service loan forgiveness. Keep holding us accountable. We want to make sure higher education is accessible to students across the country.
But there are also concerns that this will just make inflation worse. We have to hit on that before we let you go. When making this decision and adding up those numbers, how much of a focus was placed on inflation?
Well, look, number one, when someone is struggling and close to default, you know, talk about helping them is going to give them a little bit more money in their pocketbooks to help with their regular costs, their mortgage or whatever payments they have. And then if you look at reports from, you know, Moody's and others, there's an offset here because those making over $125,000 are going to restart payment in January, which means $4 billion is going to be pumped into that. That's going to lower the inflation.
Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona right there for us at the White House. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.